Objective 18, the captain's comms, is a sort of continuation of the elf hunt. Well, not really. You get the captain's journal there, which I forgot to show at the end. I was not waiting long enough, but it's not a problem. We're gonna get the link to the captain's journal in a form of a hint. So that is the first piece, and well, actually the last piece that we need to use for this challenge. It is going to be a pretty complex one, and it does involve manipulating some JWT cookies, so JWT token values. And we're going to get a ton of hints, but we need to use them and piece together all the little pieces of information. So it's kind of similar to the previous one, maybe even a little bit more complex. Let's see how you can solve this challenge. So we left off with Alabaster and proved that you can absolutely access his account through the chat MPT generated Azure function. We're going to continue that storyline. This is not for that storyline. Now, this looks kind of wonky, and you can see that things are missing from my navigation bar. That's because this challenge doesn't really work well in the Chromium browser of Burp, but you really want to have a proxy that intercepts the messages because you need to manipulate them. So this challenge works better on Firefox because the videos will not play in Chrome, so it's a little bit easier to show you how the game mechanics would look like for this challenge. I'm still going to go back. I saved the videos and just play them or jump to the end to save some time. I do know, however, that this is where I can enter to the settings, and for destination we're going to travel to a place that we already visited previously. So this is going to be the Steampunk Island, and this island does have one more challenge. So we solved the faster lock challenge, and if we go a bit further down to the south, well, let's go southeast this direction. We're going to have a chimney scissor sticks, and next to him the captain's comms. So chimney will give us a ton of hints for this challenge. I'm just going to click through this real quick and collect all the hints. Altogether, I think we get 5 hints from chimney. Let's just jump to our badge, and the first one here is private key related, so comms private key. Find the private key and update an existing JWT. So we need to figure out a file name. There's also some references to understand JWT. We already had one reference with the elf hunt. This is a different resource. I'm just quickly going to show you that one. And I'm intercepting all the traffic, so everything will complain. So this is the same site as the debugger. I'm going to go to the debugger part because that's the most important one. Then reference to the captain's journal. So this is also something that is very important for us. I did compile a PDF out of these so I can copy paste because this is just an image, but this one has important information about a role. All uppercase. So every time you see an all uppercase word in these journals, notes from the captain, that's actually a hint. This is the final role that we need to assume, and that's the whole goal for this challenge. They recommend to use some sort of interception proxy. We're using Burp. Obliterations are important. You need to guess at certain points, certain file names. It's not very difficult, and if you just think logically and see the patterns used by the captain for other file names, which are going to be provided, you should have no problem finding those out. And I think this is, even though it's for the Elf Hunt challenge officially, it's probably more useful for this challenge to understand how these tokens are structured and put together. So we get a lot of hints for this, and yeah, there's the broken badge here on the side, and we can go and start the, oops, this is going to be tricky like this if that does not work. Okay. I'm pretty sure that if this doesn't work, then I will just probably jump. The problem is I couldn't remember if this was what am I trying to do here? If this was something that I was able to use through Firefox. I'm pretty sure I emptied everything, but then, okay, let's change gears. I think I'm going to just go back and continue the way I was doing this with the built-in browser of Burp Suite. This will kick me out from the Firefox one, and I quickly need to authenticate to the Holiday Hack Challenge website, but right now. So yeah, this challenge is a little bit tricky in terms of like how you are going to view this in the browser. I'm probably just going to use then instead Burp's capabilities. Let me just empty the history here real quick, because credentials for that account are also going to be intercepted here. And then I will just try to open it like this. Here, the Burp browser is properly configured to do the interception. The problem is that this challenge has some videos that will not play at all. But we do have the captain's comms here. I'm going to show all here, and we see a ton of PNG images. I collected all of these and downloaded them separately. You can, however, find them here in the, well, this is like an older video game, like a mystery game that you had to play, and whenever you hovered over some item, it was highlighted in yellow. So this is what the briefing gives us, this background. You can always go back to this one here. You can also reset the challenge anytime you want to start from scratch. And they explain that we're looking for a frequency and a time when some bad people plan an attack on the Geese Islands. We need to trick them, and we need to make a transmission on their frequency at the right I don't know, modulation and whatnot, so what we can find out, and we need to trick them to attempt the attack in the location where the Coast Guard will wait for them, in a time when they will wait for them, and we need to do it 4 hours before their intended attack. That part was kind of weird for me, because why would you like give yourself less time? Why don't you just delay the attack a little bit so you have more time to prepare? But it's okay. It's just, you know, it's just for fun. And they will also tell you that this is a fancy SDR solution that you're going to operate, and it has role-based access control. So different roles are only allowed to access certain parts of the radio, and there's a separate radio that can transmit as well. With the SDR, we can just receive, and we have that information plus everything that we can find here. So if you click through these, you see the manual for this special SDR with an appendix. This one has some notes from the captain. This is pretty important. So this is an owner's card, to-do list about key management for this solution. We also see that captain was asking ChatMPT to help secure this solution. So there's some notes here on the public and private keys for this whole thing. And navigating all this is kind of cumbersome. So what I did, I just went ahead and took a list from Burp on all these images, all these PNGs. Let's just do N here, so we only see the captain's com-related one. Not sure how Burp figures out that this is something that I want to have highlighted, but it's very, very useful. So all together, including the captain's journal, you'll be able to take all these. There's also some loading, video playing, which looks like this. It doesn't do much. There's also a static wave 5 here, which is just when you click on this radio, you'll be hear some typical static noise that you are going to be very accustomed to if you operate radio equipment as a ham radio operator or just play around with SDRs. So this is a very, very nice and calming Gaussian white noise, basically. And I took all of these and put them in a PDF and OCR that PDF, so it's very easy to copy paste for me. It looks a bit weird when I highlight text, but it does work really well. All right, so from the captain's journal, we are going to need this name for this special role later. He's very proud of that role. Then the background information, and probably the first one that we want to take a look at is the owner's card. So the captain says that under JWT default directory, he put an ARM monitor talk file that has a token to access the SDR. However, to actually decode any signals, you need a radio decoder role. So with the monitor role, we shouldn't be able to do any of the decoding, but we should be able to access the SDR interface. This is the SDR interface. If I try to click on it, we get the unauthorized access radio monitor users only message here. And for this one, we get a radio administrator only one. So for the transmission and for the SDR interface within different roles, and we need to figure out what kind of roles we can have. The other interesting piece of information here is on the ChatGPT notes side. The captain placed the public key under the keys folder. We don't really need the public key for this challenge, but you can obtain that one. It will give us a good idea on how the naming works for the key files, so we can figure out the private key maybe from this one. So if we try to navigate this folder that was mentioned, we're going to get back an error message like this. It's more of a picture. Sorry, the request was not understood. However, if I try to, and I can also like put this one as a note, sorry, request was not understood is what we got back. However, if I try the rmonitor.tok file here, I get back a different error message which says invalid authorization token provided. Very interesting. So this probably means that this folder I cannot access directly, but I do have this file here for the ARM monitor token that I can access. I just need to provide an authorization token. We'll see later how that looks like. Now, the other file that I wanted to check based on the captain's notes is that under this folder, the same folder where we had the role monitor role token, we should have a keys folder with this file in it. So this directory and file structure gives him back the, let me just go back here. I want to open this in a separate tab so I can later just make the same request. So we get the same message here. That's good. So we're making some progress. And I also gave a try trying to figure out the name of the private key. Maybe I get lucky, although the captain writes here that the the private key was moved to a folder, hope no one will find. So I had to give it a try. But even though we've figured out the file name and the folder name, we still cannot access these key files. And it is complaining about an authorization token. Now, we did see some validation here in this application. So whenever we accessed, for example, the SDR interface, we got back this unauthorized access message. So looking at the traffic, you can see that there is this check roll request that does have an authorization token being sent. So I'm going to take this one here and I'm going to give it a try. Actually, you know what? I'm going to, this is one here on top. So I'm not going to get confused. So this is the authorization token that we're sending. We can actually go here and take a look at this one by going to our favorite JWT decoder. Okay, sure, accept all. And this one is probably my bad. Oh yeah, because I had authorization as well. I think it did not like that. Yeah, that looks much better. I'm not sure what happened there. And we can see that our role is radio user for this authorization token. However, it seems like that this is something that is not passed on as we try to go for the access key. But maybe if I do the same request, I am going to be able to get an actual response from the application instead of the error message. So I'm going to let this one go. I'm going to make an attempt with the R monitor. It's going to intercept this traffic. Could have used repeater for this one. And then I'm just going to drop this bearer token. Now, this token is really, I just proved that one, is really the same as this just watch this roll token, which acts as a cookie value for this. Now, the captain's token does not do much. So here, trying to get the whole thing. I couldn't really figure out any use of that. I would be super interested if you're watching this video and you know what it's for. Let me know in the comments, please. And this one has this weird payload data, so I couldn't really figure out anything related to this. But I'm going to send this modified request in the hopes that I'm going to get back a response like this. And this is very good. So we have now a new token. I'm just going to let this one here pass by. So for our request here, we got back the actual token value. So this is the R monitor or TOK file. I'm not gonna save this one. I did save this one when I was working on the challenge. So I'm just gonna do the lazy thing here. And let's decode this one, just to be sure that we have the right one. Yeah, so this is now radio monitor, and I'm just going to take a note of this like so. So what happens now if I go and use this authorization token for the check roll, or even better, probably it's a little bit more convenient, if I update, so to speak, my cookie value in the browser. So let's try to get to the cookie value for this application. And yeah, sometimes it's kind of flaky. And I'm not able to set the cookie value easily, but just getting in and out from this iframe usually solves it. Application, and now it's just, I don't know, does not want to comply, so I'm just going to probably use the reset button here. What I wanted to do is just replace this role, which was the radio user, if I remember correctly, with this radio monitor one. And let's see what happens if I click now the SDR interface. Loads, and we do see a waterfall diagram with some nice holiday greetings here from SANS. And we see 3 signals here. Now, what happens in the background is there's actually just, I believe, this yeah, animated GIF file on the loop. So you can go and just save this one. I do have it somewhere here. So it's really just a GIF file here. And some of these media files will not play correctly. This one does. And if I click on any of the signals, now this is where it kind of crashes. Nothing to decode is the name of the media file that plays. I'm just going to play it for you. So this is a video file on a loop. So this should be displayed, but because of the interception and what we're doing, it's not. And it says must be radio decoder role here. Okay, so we are radio monitor. That means there is a radio decoder role. Well, if we follow one of the hints saying that the captain really likes to obliterate things and use like an abbreviation of 1, 2, 3, 4 characters, and piece together that this radio monitor token was in the R monitor file, could that mean that I can do a radio decoder? Maybe. So let's try it. So if we give it a try, we get the same email authorization token. This is just because of the lack of alt token here. I'm going to craft a new nice little authorization token here for ourselves with this new value. My nose is very, very itchy for some reason, but we are on the right track. We're doing really, really well, actually. So this is our radio monitor token, and I'm going to do the same thing as we did before. So we are going to go and intercept this request. I'll let this one go here. We don't need that. So this is us asking for the RDecoder TOK file, adding the authorization token, and then sending it on its way. And there we go. We got back another token. So it already escalated our privileges once, and this one is doing it another time. So this should be the RDecoder token. But let's actually decode this one as well, and it says the role is radio decoder. Very, very nice. So I can take this one now, and I can go back once again, replacing the cookie value, or at least I intend to, but it does not give me the cookie value here. No problem. So we're replacing this now, and that should further escalate our privileges to radio decoder. We should be able to decode those signals now. Let's try it again then, I guess. Oh, I think I managed to miss like one single character at the end. And I felt like that was missing. Okay, let me just retry this once more. It should work. And if it doesn't, then we can always just go and you know what, let's just be absolutely sure that I'm doing this correctly. Enter, close, and then click. And it looks much better. So I need to do a couple of tries. Now here, the other problem is that when I click on any of these signals, it will not deny access, because if you look at the history, we do access now a different file, this DCD CWMP4 file, but it never plays here. So I'm just going to play this file because I downloaded this one. You can just go directly to that URL and access it. It's really just a video file. Now, let me just mute the music for 1 sec here. And I'm going to speed up this video file and play it. So luckily, we don't need to decode here Morse code, especially not at this speed. So bear in mind that I just doubled the actual speed for this. We see here, I think this is a German call sign for ham radio operators, but maybe I'm mistaken. It looks weird. And then we have the message here. Let me just jump to the very end here as the message unfolds. And we'll learn from this message that the, I don't know, let's call them pirates or like bad people. They managed to figure out that the captain hid his key, his private key into the captain's private folder, lead speak folder, and we can leverage that one later. So we're going to take note of that one real quick. Let's just jump to my actual notes here. I'm going to copy a couple of things for this part. We had this folder. We learned about this folder here. We're going to use that one later. Let's check the other messages as well. So there's this second one, which is the num, and there's mention of number stations in the captain's notes. So if you want to learn more about these were weird radio stations. They mentioned the structure of these messages somewhere. We're going to see that structure actually later. Let's see. Yeah, it's mentioned here with the structure, and you can read about the Lincolnshire poacher radio station that was up for until 2008, broadcasting a very similar kind of message. Again, this doesn't play in the browser, but I do have the file saved here. So let me again just do the same thing. We're gonna stop the music for a second and then play this video. I'm gonna speed it up significantly. So it plays some music, tunes a couple of times, then there's this voice just dictating numbers, this weird gong sound.
1, 2, 2, 4, 9.
And then more numbers. That's pretty much the structure of it.
1, 6, 0, 0, 9. 1, 6, 0, 0, 9.
And it goes on like this until the very end. Okay, so this message, I couldn't make much out of it, but as I looked at it again, I kind of suspected, because the other message will be the frequency that we need to find, so I kind of suspected that this is probably containing the date and the time. Now, looking at this 88323 number repeating first, I have no clue what that is. If someone managed to figure out what the meaning of that, I would love to hear what this is all about. The others almost look like just date and time values. We have 9s at the end. I think it's just a like kind of padding or just to mislead people, so we can ignore those. And then we have 12, 14, and 24 rather. 1224, and then 1600. So that's probably 1600, right? Military time. And then we have probably the month and the day. This is something worth taking note of. So I'm going to jot these down. Now this is probably the actual intended time and date for these people to attack the islands. We're going to adjust this one by 4 hours. So getting a when we do the transmission, we need to get 4 hours earlier them to the islands, right where the Coast Guard will wait for them. So that was the number station, and we had one more signal here. The FX1. I'm not even going to click on this. It will just result in the same thing. Instead, let's pretend that I clicked, and then we get this video here. Again, I'm going to speed this one up significantly so it goes a bit faster. So this is basically radio fax message. It works like kind of a fax message, but to radio signals. And we have here a note of the frequency value. So I'm going to take that one as well. All right, so this is all that we had to listen to with these videos. We had the frequency as well and a folder. Now, this is great. We're making fantastic progress right now, but with these, do I need to click on something? Okay, sure. With these rows, the radio monitor and the decoder, I can just only access the SDR, not able to access the radio that can transmit. So that's a problem. And we need to find the private key so that we can generate a proper JWT cookie value for ourselves. Now this requires you to make a couple tries. And I'm going to just paste here the things that I tried and eventually succeeded. I'm not sure if I was just misinterpreting things here, but I tried first this folder and later I figured out like, oh, it's probably under the JWT default folder or maybe under the keys one. So I gave a couple of tries. I'm not going to click through all of these. The last one here on the list is the correct one. I did try this name for the keys, but under the keys folder initially. So I wasn't far off with my first try. Now this works the same way as the previous ones. So we need to intercept this message and then use the token here. So let's just upgrade this to an actual header that we can thing. Go ahead. Oh, yeah, that's not gonna work. Even though I was not planning to demonstrate it, I just did how it fails without the authorization token, and we get the private key, which is excellent. I think I forgot to save the public key here. I can show you that the public key also works the same way. We don't really need that one, but I want to prove that you can also grab that one. Let's make a request for this one. I'm going to use my authorization token here. Send this request, and we can also get back the public key. However, for signing, I do not need that, and we need to sign this message. Probably it would make more sense the other way around. So maybe this one was supposed to be up here or something like that. Doesn't really matter. All right. This is the important part, the private key. Now, here you have various choices on how to generate these tokens. Initially, I tried a Python library, which is making your life very, very easy. Just also drop here, read the docs. If it doesn't load fast enough, then okay. Am I still intercepting? Yes, I am. Okay, let's just reopen these real quick. No, not the settings. Not the holiday. No, these are not the links that I wanted to open. Okay, so this is the way how you could generate a token very, very easily, and then even validate it afterwards. This normally should work, so this shouldn't have a problem. The issue is that the application is very picky on the format of the tokens. It's not really compliant with the JWT RFC actually. The order of these headers shouldn't matter, and this library almost always will generate the type first and then the algorithm in the header, but these are just JSON values, so the order doesn't matter here. The other thing that you really need to pay attention to is how these are created in the token, the payload part, that is. Let me just grab the payload part. Can I find this? Yeah, that's the payload part. So let me just bring up CyberChef super quick here. And you really need to pay attention, because if you try this now based on my walkthrough, I want to make sure that you can actually do it. So take good note that between the column there's no space. That's very important. I tried it and I generated it with the space, and that will fail. It will fail. So take the decoded value basically, and then use this as your payload. The thing that we need to modify, however, is the role. And the captain was really focusing on this role here. So let me just reformat that so it's a little bit more readable. You can take the same values here. It's probably the best, like doing it like this. So you can take the same values here and you just substitute the role in the payload part. For the header part, it is just going to be the usual thing, and then we're going to have a signature. So this is the structure that we're going to follow. And unfortunately with that Python library, that does not work really well. However, I managed to find a very nice article from Akamai. And this has the details on how to. I'm just looking at the playlist. It's taking quite some time to get through this, but I want to make sure that this is well documented. So they are going to tell you how to use the Linux command line to generate the header, the payload, and the signature part. So I'm just going to take these and substitute the necessary values. So for this first one, it's fairly easy because it is really just the following commands here at the command line. And in this command line, where I have a VM running, I already have the private and the public key here. Don't really need the public key, but I just generated that one. So this is kind of generic. I could have taken this one from the other tokens as well. The payload part is something that we need to generate. So this command, and again, I'm just taking, oops, sorry, not this one. I am just taking the examples from that link and just substitute whatever I need here. So this one paste will generate the payload part for us. I'm going to take this, drop it here, removing the new lines. And now for the last part, I'm going to need the signature. So the signature is something that I need to substitute here, the header and the payload part. This is already the command that you need to run for this, but it's very easy to substitute it here in the signature part. So you just need to replace the base64 string. This is really putting together, so we're signing this string over here, right? So together the payload and the header, or header and payload rather, in the appropriate order. Order does matter here, so it's important. And we're pasting it in, and we get this one back as the signature. Now this is not a full token, so be careful. You still need to piece everything together. I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm going to take this one, which is header plus, okay, let's do it differently. So header plus payload, and these are separated by dots, plus the signature. Okay, we're almost there, I promise. And we can decode this just to verify that it decodes correctly. If we import here in the JVT editor the private key, we can also validate it in traffic. I'm not going to do that. If you're interested, it's fairly easy to do. You really just need to import this in as a new RSA key. You have to come up with some random key ID here, and you can replace the, in the PAM format, you can replace the private key here. Well, actually, I just did it, so we might as well paste this one in. The ID does not matter, really. So in the proxy now, if I go back and check any of the messages here under the JVT token, we can also verify this, and it verifies with the key ID that we just had here. So this is really confirming that we're doing everything in the intended way. And now, the last thing that we need to do is come back here. I'm going to intercept the message as we try to access the captain's comms. Actually, you know what? Let me just leave this one and fail. Why don't we just do the same way, the cookie replacement, because it will automatically add the authorization. I'm gonna replace this with the admin role cookie, and this brings us the radio interface where we can transmit. We need to provide, however, the values that we obtained by decoding some of the radio transmissions, so the frequency, and then what we assume is the go date, and then not the actual time that we intercepted. We need to adjust this by 4 hours. I don't know if this is visible. Just zooming in a little bit here, making everything super wonky, but I want to make sure that this is visible on the video. So this is the go time, and then we need to push this transmission button here. I'm going to reset the zoom so that we can see in full glory what happens when I push this button. And what happens is that I pass the challenge. Now I don't see the challenge history here popping up because of the problems of the interface. Although I should, but we can try it again later if we did not have the challenge completed. I assume that it is just it's just a little bug. But this completes the challenge, and we are signed off for some reason. Okay, so let me try to get back here, and I just want to verify if we managed to get everything correctly. It might happen that we completed the challenge successfully, but it's getting quite late where I am. And somewhere around midnight UTC, they do a reset. So this might happen. This might have been the thing that happened here. So yeah, Captain's Comms is still not completed. Easy peasy, we're just gonna go back. This token will be still something that works without a problem. I'm just gonna redo this one more time. So again, we have this, not this, this crafted token, which is the token for this role. We can modify our cookie value to access the radio interface and then enter these values. Luckily, form values were saved in the browser history, transmit, and now we have the challenge. Good. Otherwise, it would be very anticlimactic, right? That we didn't complete the challenge at the end of the video. And these are the bad guys. I think they're super cute. I can imagine what kind of shenanigans they were planning, but it was probably just super cuteness. Like, look at these bunnies. It cannot possibly be bad. Okay, so this concludes the challenge. Let's talk to Chimney. He's very, very satisfied. So this storyline is just 2 challenges together. There's no follow-up challenge for these. Oops. But we are going to continue with the certificate shenanigans, and the next one will be Active Directory, and all the challenges now will be just a continuation of the main storyline. All right, so we finished a very, very difficult challenge, 5 out of 5 Christmas trees. I think given the length of the video, which is, wow, almost 45 minutes, you understand that this is one of the harder challenges, probably the most complex one. You need to piece together a lot of little like puzzle pieces to get a full picture. I really enjoyed playing this one. One of my favorite challenges. Teaches you a lot of interesting things about JWT tokens and JWT validation. So cool stuff. These tokens are becoming very, very common, so understanding the structure is really important. The next thing that we're going to see, like I mentioned, is a series of challenges that are tied together. So we need to solve the Active Directory challenge. This will provide us with a passphrase. We then need to synthesize the voice of one of the elves to pass through a security control, and then 2 satellite challenges. Those are very, very interesting, but I think I'm just going to record them tomorrow because it's, as I mentioned, getting quite late. But if you're watching this, the videos should be probably already up there, so join me in the last few challenges to finalize the narrative.